Build up a brand and a customer database, identifying the target market, identifying your value proposition, doing your MVP, getting that little bit of data. You haven't got to worry about your hosting, you haven't got to worry about your security.
Profit Pilot.
Okay, so we've covered a fair bit of ground already. So we've gone through the history of the web, we've gone through potential future of e-commerce, we've gone through the planning of e-commerce. So we've gone through the business planning, the financial planning. So the next step on how to create or grow an e-commerce business will be looking at what platform you're going to build on. So if you think about your platform, that's where the car that you're going to choose to drive. So there's various pros and cons. Let me go through the platforms first. So the basic ones you've got Shopify. So Shopify is it's a closed system. So it's a plug and play system. So personally, these websites, maybe apart from Magento, are good for initially starting out. And I'll explain in more detail in a little while. But yeah, so Shopify, you got your plug and play. It's very easy to use, very easy to get started. It's ideal for beginners, but that doesn't mean it's amateurish, because there's a lot of big brands use Shopify. You haven't got to worry about your hosting, you haven't got to worry about your security. If you have massive demand, they've got multiple servers to balance the load. There's loads of developers who can use it and work on Shopify. To be honest, you don't need to be that technically gifted or knowledgeable to be able to do stuff yourself. And there's lots of integrations, there's lots of apps, like your iPhone. Or your Android, there's lots of apps that you can plug in. It's easy to use. It works with a lot of the third-party shipping companies and email companies, and it's very well known. So Shopify, it's got a monthly subscription fee. A lot of the clients I work with are on Plus, which is £2,000 a month. Starting out, you can use £35 or something. £2,000 a month. That's when they've got you on the hook, which way I'll go down in a little while. And they also take transaction fees. Not a bad business model if your name is Mr. Shopify. WooCommerce, so that's built on an open source platform called WordPress. So WordPress started out as a blogging site. Pretty much all sites are database driven now, but basically you had a website. And do you remember in the first videos where I was on about the emergence of Web 2.0 and blogging? Just general people like you and I, the peasants creating content outside of the control of the overlords. So WordPress is built on an open source software. So WooCommerce, it's a plugin, it's free. There's a danger because it's open source, it's viable for security breaches, because everyone can see. With Shopify, you can't really see behind the hood, but with WordPress you can, it's all open source. But that said, security nowadays is pretty decent. And you've got full control over where you host it and managing. So that could be a pro or a con. Do you want to just plug and play, or do you want to have a bit more technical control over it? It requires a bit more technical knowledge. You would need a developer to help you create a WooCommerce site. You're responsible for the hosting, keeping up to date with security and the updates. It used to be where WordPress was a very heavy, sluggish kind of system. It's got a lot faster now, so you can start to get a lot. So when I talk about fast, I talk about download speeds. I'll cover all this in a different topic when it starts based around performance and stuff. And then third option you got is Magento. Now Magento is these boys are middleweight boxers, then Magento is the heavyweight boxer. I haven't managed a Magento site for a while, so I can't remember what the fees are off the top of my head, but it's very powerful, very scalable. It's very good if you've got a multitude of products, thousands, a massive inventory. There's also ways you can set Magento where you've got a master site and a slave site, so you've got international stores and stuff. It's a heavyweight. If you're going to sell a lot of products, Magento is a good one for you. Again, it's built on PHP, so you can get developers very, very easily. Much higher development costs, and again, your hosting, your maintenance. With Magento, it's best to have specialized hosting because it's that heavy that you need specialized hosting with specialized setups for it to maintain its performance. So out of the three, I generally would go for Shopify just because it's easier to set up. So the ultimate aim for an e-commerce site is, going back a couple of videos, is creating a brand and an email list. That's what you got, your customer database attached to a brand. Now, what you can do, you build up a brand and a customer database on these systems, and you can always transfer that across to a bespoke system. one where you own. You're in control, you don't have to pay a maintenance fee. Well, you still have to pay transaction fees. At this stage, if you're starting out, you're running a website for 2 or 3 years before you have that decision. It's a good decision to make because it means you've got a thriving business. That's when you can start to look at custom systems. If you start looking at custom bespoke systems out of the box, it can get quite expensive. And you don't really need it unless you need some particular features, which I'm sure you can get Shopify plugins for. So at this early stage, we're just trying to find traction. So going back through my videos, you're looking at identifying the target market, identifying your value proposition, doing your MVP, getting that little bit of data. Can I grow a business in this area? Can I compete? And then so using these platforms is just a way of validating your hypotheses, starting to work out how much it's costing you to buy customers, what your lifetime customer value is. And it's much easier to just plug and play with a system and focus on those metrics and growing your brand and your business than it is paying dev teams and managing them. So the ultimate end goal is get your web business on your own platform, which you own and you have control over. But the easiest route to market, but that'd be like building a custom car. It's easier when you're learning and getting used to the roads just to buy a standard car. So yeah, at the end of that, there's Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento. Each has its pros and its cons. I personally would just go for Shopify just because of the ease of use, and I'd just use it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then reevaluate your options. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.